The year is 1990. I have not been conceived. Nintendo has been cooking for the better part of the last decade, guided by their all-powerful deity, Mario. Mario is untouchable, and everyone knows it. Except for Sega, who did not get the memo. Sega has their own mascot, Alex Kidd. To say Alex Kidd cannot compete with Mario is a massive understatement. Sega was well aware of this, so they got all of their employees together and said, "Give me mascot." Meanwhile, some nerd named Yuji Naka was trying to get his own ideas off the ground. One of these was a platformer to rival Mario, centered around speed. With this project greenlit, they went through several designs, but finally settled on one that reflected the core gameplay of the project. Specifically, Naka suggested that the character curl into a ball for his attacks. And which real-world animal curls into a ball?
No! Yes!
So the mascot was to be a hedgehog, with the trademark Sega cool factor down to his color. Let's take a look at this design. He has the exaggerated proportions, minstrel gloves, and large expressive eyes of rubber hose cartoons, with a particular resemblance to Mickey Mouse. Quills reminiscent of spiky hair, giving him a punk rock look. This is taken even further in the Greg Martin illustrations used for the US cover art, which depict Sonic's quills as a literal mohawk. And his shoes? Colored after Santa Claus, modeled after Michael Jackson's boots, supposedly. Naoto Oshima is the artist you have to thank for this perfect design, and in part for the long-running success of the Sonic series. The year is 2005. I'm 9 years old and I just discovered Sonic Channel. I'm already obsessed with mascot platformers when I stumble upon this. This is the art of Yuji Uekawa, who's responsible for the character redesigns for Sonic Adventure. In other words, if Oshima created the original classic Sonic, Uekawa created what we know as modern Sonic. For as much as I love all aspects of this series, it's this illustration that made me a Sonic fan, which leads us back to Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis. As a confused and impatient child who wasn't very good at side-scrollers to begin with, I had a hard time connecting with the Genesis titles, never making it past the first couple of zones in any of them. And honestly, I don't think I ever fully understood how to play classic Sonic. The original Sonic games revolve around building up momentum to get through a zone quickly. Growing up on Sonic Heroes, the gameplay I was familiar with revolved around taking down hordes of robots quickly, and then booking it to the next horde of robots. The weighty physics of the Genesis titles felt weird to me, so I dropped Mega Collection pretty quickly and went back to Shadow, never to look back. Never even knew you could do a roll to build momentum down those slopes. When I started getting back into these games, I knew I wanted to give the Genesis titles another shot, so I got Sonic Origins Plus and booted up the game's story mode, which consists of playing all 4 titles in chronological order, with Sonic CD awkwardly sandwiched between 1 and 2 for some reason. I played through all 4 games, but for this video, I'm going to stick to talking about the first one. My feelings on this game are a little complicated. In some ways, this would be a less than ideal first impression of classic Sonic, but in other ways, playing this one first makes the sequel so much more fun. You gotta walk before you can run, and in the case of the original Sonic the Hedgehog, that is more often than not literally true. Out of the 6 3-act zones that Sonic 1 has to offer, you're only ever gonna be moving quickly through like 3 of them. A couple of the zones straight up have a no-run policy. And then you have the story.
So, I know what you're thinking.
Mom, get in here, Mom.
Here we
It's no use.
go!
What the fuck?
Look over there!
I'm going to make sure that you watch my Vine compilations and I'm gonna make you perish, you little rodent!
Here we go!
Yeah, that's about it. You're not gonna see any narrative beats in Sonic 1 aside from go stop Fat Man and save the critters. The Japanese manual provides a little context for the characters and setting. Okay, so this tells us a few things. Sonic and Eggman, known in the US as Dr. Robotnik, have faced off a bunch. This is the first time Robotnik has taken animals and turned them into badniks, and South Island is where the Chaos Emeralds lie dormant. That last fact is contradicted literally by the next game, but I can't say I'm shocked that a game manual might not be treated as canon to future titles. The best way to do this is to break down each of the zones, but first, there's one thing I need to gush about. The music. From the moment I booted up Sonic Heroes and heard this, I was obsessed. No matter what mood I find myself in, there's a style of Sonic music that fits. You want something faster?
This is my escape. I'm running through this world and I'm not looking back.
Maybe you're feeling...
Extreme Shitter!
That was an illegal act, by the way.
Or maybe you're feeling like an edgy boy. Not heavy enough for you? Or hey, maybe you want to throw a bunch of disparate sounds together and see what happens.
Come on, let the fuse, he's a rocket and he's ready to go. Cause now the countdown has started and he's ready to blow.
To varying results. Even Crush 40 has range. Of the initial 4 games they made themes for, each one leans in a totally different direction. They go from glam to power metal lighten up with some pop rock and then hard pivot to fucking new metal. And then, of course, there's all the stuff that falls outside of rock altogether.
Knock, knock, it's Knuckles, the blow thrower, independent flower, magical emerald holder.
Rolling it back to the classic titles, each of those also strikes its own identity. Before the Michael Jackson dance and funk of Sonic 3, before the New Jack Swing of Sonic CD, there was some guy from this band Dreams Come True named Masato Nakamura, and he said, "Y'all want me to score a video game, but I'm gonna pretend I'm scoring a film." Before anything appears on the screen, you hear the rising pitter-patter of a synth, underscored by a funky bass line. Palm trees, oversized flowers, a distant lake, and some waterfalls, all of it under a deep blue sky. Beneath the grass you stand on, you see the racing flag checkered soil.
Welcome to Green Hill Zone.
By far the most well-known level in the Sonic series. This place has been remade, reimagined, and otherwise referenced more times than I can count, to the point of oversaturation. When they threw it into 3 different Game Gear games, I'm sure most kids didn't even notice. When they threw it into Adventure 2, it was more of an optional bonus for the fans. But then Generations happened. Great game, mind you. The problem is that since Generations, Green Hill has appeared ad nauseum in every mainline title. In Forces, Green Hill plays a central part in the plot, appearing in 4 separate stages, all with differing gimmicks and atmospheres. Frontiers, as much as I fucking adore it, shoves Green Hill down your throat the entire game, appearing in 10 out of the 30 cyberspace stages. But it doesn't matter. No matter how hard they try to make everyone sick of Green Hill, nothing quite hits like booting up the first game and seeing those palm trees. Speaking of, you boot up Green Hill Zone, hear that music, see those trees and the checkered soil. All the information the game is giving you through sound and picture is telling you 2 things. You're in a lush landscape, and you need to start moving. Right off the bat, you run into several badniks, giving you an obstacle to overcome as well as a goal to achieve. Defeat the badniks, save the animals. You come up to a slope, your first test of building and keeping momentum. Further along, segments of the ground start to collapse, offering you a branching path to follow down below. You hit a checkpoint followed by your first loop, another momentum test. A few badniks later and you hit the goalpost, completing the zone. In under 2 minutes, the game has taught you everything you need to know. And that's just Act 1. The following 2 acts of Green Hill scale in difficulty from Act 1 in the same way that all the zones do. Tighter platforming and more badniks. Rotating spike logs begin to appear that you'll have to traverse across, as well as certain springs that are placed deliberately to slow you down. Power-up monitors are spread throughout, giving you a leg up against your enemy with shields and temporary invincibility. Eventually, you make it to the end of Act 3, where you have your first of many face-offs with the Doctor. Aside from the Mecha Sonic fights in Sonic 2 and Sonic & Knuckles, and the Metal Sonic fight in Sonic CD, which is more of a race than a fight, every major boss battle in the Genesis titles is against Robotnik. For this first boss, Robotnik is piloting the Egg Wrecker, which is just his Eggmobile with a ball and chain attached to it. Nothing too crazy. There's a floating platform on either side of the screen as Robotnik swings his big ball to and fro. Side note, but the wrecking ball's got the same checkered pattern as the soil, reminding you of the mission. 8 bonks on the dome later, and Robotnik bails, leading you to the first of many capsules filled with animals for you to rescue. Before I move on to the next zone, I should probably address the special stages. These are a staple of the classics, albeit different in each one. In the first game, reaching the end of a zone's Act 1 or 2 with 50 rings opens a portal to one of these stages, giving you a chance to collect a Chaos Emerald. Here's the problem, though. These stages aren't particularly fun to play or look at, and unlike future games, there's no Supersonic, no additional boss fight, no extra stage, nothing of note. The Sonic 1 ending cinematic in Origins literally shows Sonic having collected all the emeralds, so there's no real difference here aside from a screen at the end that says, "Try again." If Green Hill Zone is a showcase of what you can expect from this game, Marble Zone, the first of many lava levels in the Sonic series, is a showcase of what this game expects from you. Is it the hardest zone? No, but the difficulty spike between this and Green Hill could blindside a first-time player. It certainly blindsided me.
What the fuck?
After racing through Green Hill, you'll be riding a high that's going to make you very impatient during a zone that requires a lot of that. The zone itself isn't too tough. There's plenty of tricky platforming, but nothing you wouldn't see in any other platformer. It's the frustration that comes with having to stop when all you want to do is go. Good thing the music slaps. Marble Zone begins with you traversing grassy platforms over a pool of lava. It feels like the natural evolution of the previous zone, with the addition of lava serving to scale the difficulty, which is what you would expect from the second level of a video game. This feeling lasts for about 30 seconds. You hit a dead end, turn around, and see the path to the rest of the zone. And within seconds, you're stopping every 3 steps to wait for some moving pillars. Next up, you've got to push a block onto a switch to raise a spiked platform that you need to get past. Then you're waiting for more moving pillars and trying to get blocks to fall so you can platform across them. You finally make it above ground, and 10 seconds later, the act ends. Act 2 gives you more platforms to wait for, more blocks to push, and throws in some fireball cannons just to slow you down that much more. After a third act that's even tougher than the first 2, you face off with the Egg Scorcher. This is very similar to the first fight, only instead of a wrecking ball, it's one of those pesky fireball cannons. And just like the last fight, you jump from side to side, slap that egg a few times, and move on to the next zone. Enter the pinball level. Spring Yard Zone feels like a nice middle ground between the speed of Green Hill and the platforming of Marble Zone. And after how drab Marble was, the bright colors and lively music of Spring Yard are a much-needed palate cleanser. Okay, so I've been playing the Every Little Step mashup, but listen to the actual track and see how it compares to the others. The music at Green Hill inspires freedom and evokes the beauty of nature. Fuck, that sounds pretentious. Marble Zone's music has a rhythm so precise it's claustrophobic, giving no room to deviate, no room to make mistakes. Then you hit Spring Yard Zone. This is straight up swing music, with a bouncy off-kilter rhythm that makes you want to move. That bouncy feel works well for a zone that has you literally bouncing like a pinball, sometimes against your will. Yeah, we see you. Speaking of, the zone itself comes with its own frustrations. Aside from the aforementioned pinball bumpers, you've got spike balls that you need to evade, several more instances of standing and waiting for platforms to move out of your path, and stair platforms that move diagonally. Out of all of these, that last one was the only thing that genuinely gave me trouble here. In Act 3, just before you reach the boss, there are 5 of these stair platforms you need to traverse. For some reason, I kept flubbing this part. No idea why. Eventually, I did make it to the boss. This time, it's the Egg Stinger. After a wrecking ball and a fire cannon, equipping the Eggmobile with a single spike seems a bit underwhelming. And the fight itself is somehow easier than the previous 2, as there's no platforming required here. Just walk from one side of the screen to the other, wait for him to come down, bonk him, repeat 8 times. This is around the time I started to notice that Sonic 1's pacing is not the gradual rise in intensity you'd expect from most games, but a series of peaks and valleys, both in difficulty and speed. Those two things are actually pretty tethered, as the difficulty of a zone and how skilled you are at navigating it directly affect how fast you're able to go. So far, we've seen Green Hill, a pretty breezy zone that gives every player opportunities to go fast, but still throws enough your way to challenge you to want to go faster. Low skill floor, high skill ceiling. Marble Zone, the more traditional side-scroller level, requires more skilled platforming, but mostly just asks the player to be patient. A tougher stage, and also a slower one. Spring Yard Zone brings back some of that player freedom while maintaining the previous zone's difficulty. So how does the next zone fare? Ah, Labyrinth Zone. Your reputation precedes you. Before playing this game proper, I'd heard about Labyrinth Zone for years, many claiming it to be one of the toughest zones in the Genesis titles. I figured that was because Labyrinth Zone is a water level, and water levels are always at least a little bit stressful. What I did not realize before playing is that Labyrinth Zone hates you. Enemies hide in the ground, waiting to catch you off guard.
Oh no!
Spiked balls aplenty. Hell, there's spikes everywhere. And of course, being underwater, you're at the mercy of the air bubbles. Labyrinth Zone culminates at the end of Act 3 when you realize there's no boss fight. In its place is a sequence that has you following the Eggmobile upwards through a corridor as the water level quickly rises. This part is genuinely kind of tough to get through, something that isn't really helped by my lack of gamer skills. Eventually though, we make it to the top, finally escaping the labyrinth. For now. Running through Starlight Zone after surviving Labyrinth Zone is like getting to stretch your legs after a very long and exhausting car ride. The slopes from Green Hill are back in full effect, and the platforming is generally more forgiving than the last 3 zones. You could even say Starlight is the easiest zone in the game, aside from maybe Green Hill. It's not exactly the nicest place to look at, mostly just green with a starry backdrop, but you're not thinking about that when you hear those first 4 notes. All you're thinking is, thank fuck I'm not in Labyrinth Zone anymore, and damn, this song's kinda fire. The feel-good nature of the music is just another trait Starlight shares with Green Hill, aside from them being the easiest zones in the game and the ones that let you go the fastest. And I gotta say, the boss isn't half bad either. Similar to the Egg Scorcher, the Egg Spiker is equipped with a cannon, this time shooting spiked balls. He's too high to jump on though, so you have to rely on 3 seesaws to attack, either by flinging his balls back at him or by flinging yourself at him. It's nothing crazy, but at least you get a choice in how to approach the fight. It feels fitting that the final proper zone of the game is a culmination of everything that's come before it. Plot-wise, we finally reached Eggman's base of operations on South Island. After chasing him through Green Hills, ruins both Molten and Aquatic, and 2 different cities, we finally got the son of a bitch cornered, so naturally, he's gonna throw everything he's got at us. The gameplay manages to combine most of the previous zone's mechanics, from the slopes of Green Hill and Starlight, the tight platforming of Marble Zone, the unforgiving enemy and obstacle placement of Labyrinth Zone. Actually, it's got more than a few things in common with Labyrinth Zone, but I'll talk about that in a minute. When the zone starts and you hear that music, you feel motivated to finish it. You've already seen the worst this game can throw at you, having persevered through the infamous labyrinth, so nothing is stopping you. Pitfalls, flamethrowers, annoyingly placed enemies, precise platforming, none of that shit matters. Even when Act 2 steps it up with flywheels, saws, and the return of the dreaded spike ball, you think to yourself, nah, I got this. Then Act 2 ends. The music changes, and a cutscene plays out. Wait, this doesn't look the same. This looks like... Fuck, you're here. And you're here?
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
So yeah, if you didn't already know, Scrap Brain Act 3 is actually Labyrinth Act 4. But, you know, now the water's pink, and it's got the Scrap Brain music, so it's different, right? I've already said enough about Labyrinth, so I'll just say that this shit is ass, and somehow worse than the actual Labyrinth Zone. Once again, no boss to fight here. And that's because of where we're going next. Final Zone feels like the real Scrap Brain Act 3, and that's honestly how it should have been. Unlike the other boss zones, there's no level leading up to the fight, just the fight itself. That's more than welcome though, considering where we just were.
Just give me a chance!
The marching rhythm of Scrap Brain intensifies here as the melodies become more dire. Feels like everything is riding on this moment. The actual fight though, let's just say it's nothing to write home about. The Egg Crusher is the only boss that isn't just the Eggmobile strapped with a new accessory. Instead, Eggman has shoved himself into a piston, in the hopes that he'll be able to catch you off guard and crush you. Doesn't really work that way, since you can just stand off to the side and wait for the pistons to come out, making them a non-threat. The only thing you need to worry about are the orbs that get lobbed at you, but even those are avoidable by simply running from one side to the other. Just like with every other boss, bonk them 8 times and it's done. All the boss fights in this game are the same aside from the Egg-Stinger, and even then I'm being pretty damn generous with that. But that's not why I play Sonic. I play Sonic to go fast. And does this game fulfill that? I mean, yeah, kinda, sometimes. When all's said and done, I don't want to be too harsh with this game, considering it was the first in the series. Would I prefer it if the later zones were a little less drab? Sure. Do I wish Labyrinth zones sucked less? Oh yeah. I look at Scrap Brain Act 3 and my brain goes,
Stinky!
but I think the package as a whole is good. Originally, my plan was to end this video with a brief overview of the first game's legacy in the years since its 1991 release. How the sequels improved the formula, ports and re-releases, that kind of thing. Instead, I'd like to address something I said a minute ago. I play Sonic to go fast. That's not entirely true. If that were true, I wouldn't enjoy 2/3 of the adventure games, or Unleashed. And I'll tell you right now, I do. Excluding Big the Cat, I love all the alternate playstyles in the adventure games. And yeah, I even tolerate the Werehog. But why? If it's not strictly to go fast, then what compels me to play these games? Watch the movies, the shows, listen to the music, or make this video? It's because it's Sonic. And what is Sonic? Sonic is 2 things. The mascot of an ambitious video game company, and a proponent of freedom. A lot of people wonder why Sonic fans cling to this IP through thick and thin. It's because they feel understood. Have you ever acted on impulse? Have you ever wanted to prove yourself to someone? Have you ever misjudged someone? Has your heart ever gotten you into trouble? Are you holding on to some shit that happened to you a long time ago? Have you ever really, really embarrassed yourself? People love this shit because, in a fucked up way, it makes them feel seen. Sonic is a comforting reminder that it's okay to be weird, and also a kick in the ass to stop wasting your time in self-doubt. I've said my piece, so thank you for watching, and here's more Sonic.
Merlina, every world has its end. I know that's kind of sad, but that's why we gotta live life to the fullest in the time we have. At least, that's what I figure.